Okay, in the very first class today, I forgot something I should have told you, or I should taught you, introduced to you, that about the price effect, substitution effect, and income effect. I'm sorry about that. So now let me say something here. All right, let's assume that our utility function is Q1 and Q2, a simple Cobb-Douglas utility function with the budget line, budget set, say 20p1 plus 5p2 equals, say, $300. And what about Q1 star? So the expenditure on good 1 and good 2 would be 1 to 1, right? Because the power here is 1 to 1. So you remember alpha to beta is actually the share, the relative share, okay, the proportion of the total income. So it's the expenditure 1 to 1. So 1/2 of this $300 was spent on good 1, and for each the price is 20, so it would be 7.5, right? And Q2 star would be 1/2 300 divided by the price 5, it will be 30. Should I use this numerical example, or I can just use anything? Oh, actually I don't have to use numerical example. All right, once again. So, let me give you a general picture of this. So we want to maximize the utility subject to P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2 equals Y. Alright? So Q1 star would be alpha plus beta of Y by P1. Do you remember this? I wish every one of you would be familiar with this. It's very, very basic and important. Okay? So now, what about Q1 star with respect to P1? It would be alpha plus beta, Y and P1 with the power of -1, right? So it would be negative Y P1 squared. Is that right? You may regard this as P1 inverse 1. So it would be P1 to the power of -2. Alright? And this is actually the price effect. Then what about substitution effect? How to derive income effect? So do you remember the formula? The formula in chapter 4, there is something talking about Q1, P1 is actually Q1 star P1 conditional on the same utility level minus Q1 star partial Q1 star partial Y. Do you remember this? This is the effect by each dollar, and this will be the real income cut because we consume this many utility of commodity, right? So this is actually the real income affected, the size of the real income affected. So which one do you think is easier to derive? Now we have the equilibrium level, or the equilibrium, or the optimal consumption, optimal solution for Q1. So which part do you think is easier to derive? The first one, the substitution effect, or the second, the income effect? The second, right? Because it's hard to, you need to derive the utility level and then use the expenditure function to do something, once again, to keep your utility to U bar, right? So not easy to do that, but the second part is easier. So how to do the second part? The second part, it would be negative Q1 star. So Q1 star would be alpha to alpha plus beta, Y P1 inverse. This is Q1, right? Q1 star. And this part, Q1, differentiate Q1 star with respect to Y is easy. How easy it is alpha to right? This is the result of the differentiation of this term with respect to Y, because Y to the power of 1. Okay, so it's quite easy to differentiate this term with respect to Y. So we got this, and it would be alpha plus beta square Y P1 to the power of negative square. Price effect, income effect. So what about substitution effect? You just rearrange the equation. Now we have the price effect. We also have the income effect, and we just take income effect to the left, right? So this part would be the sum of this one and this one, because the arranged from the right hand side to the left hand side, negative would be positive, right? So you just sum them up. So there is a Y, we have a Y, P1 negative square, P1 negative square, alpha plus beta, alpha plus beta, but here we have a negative sign here. So the result would be, let me put it here. The substitution effect would be is that right? just move income effect to the left-hand side, so that the substitution effect is left on the right-hand side. And after the movement, the negative will be positive, but here we still have a negative sign here. So it will be negative alpha plus beta square alpha beta y p1. And now you see a negative sign here, which means the pure substitution effect is always negative. And the income effect, there is a negative sign here, which means for normal good. For normal good, what happened? The income effect is also negative as well, right? Okay, so this is a complement. I should say a supplement, sorry, about price effect and income substitution effect. So with the basic problem we have come across for several times, we have seen this by several times, right? And you should have ability to solve the optimal solution here. Using the optimal solution here, we may derive directly the price effect, right? So the price effect, this is the price effect. And also, it's not difficult to derive the income effect, which is a negative times Q1 star times partial Q1 star partial Y. So not difficult to solve this part. And also this we already have. So the income effect would look like this. And then we just move this to the left-hand side so that we may derive the substitution effect by this. Is that okay? And now, if you think it is fine with you, I'd like you to do another thing. There was another formula saying that partial Q2 star, no, Q1. Partial Q1 star partial P2 equals partial Q1 star partial P2 hold the utility level minus Q2 star partial Q1 star partial Y. Have any impression of this equation? Yeah, the Slutsky equation. Do you remember that? So we have actually two Slutsky equations, but the logic is the same. The logic is basically the same. Now, this is the price effect. So what do you think? What about the differentiation of Q1 star with respect to P2? Do you see any P2 here? Yes or no? No, right? So the price effect of P2 on Q1 would be would be I'm doing that would be what? 0, right? Would be 0. Okay? There's no price effect. However, do you think there would be some income effect? Would there be income effect here? Yes or no? What would be the income effect? It's easy to do this differentiation, right? And not difficult to derive Q2 star, right? So what about this part, the income effect? Can you do this? Do you have some sheet of paper? I want you make some exercise. Try this by yourself now, please. 3 minutes. Try yourself to see if you may derive the result. So with the change in P2, the price effect. So later on we will say PE, price effect, will be 0. And income effect. Now, you do the income effect parts. So what is Q2 star? What is Q2 star? You see Q1 star here. So what is Q2 star? It's actually not difficult. It would be, so how much do you think you would spend on the expenditure we will spend on good 2? What would be the share of income you would spend on Q2? It would be beta over alpha plus beta y, right? This is the income, the proportion of income. This is the proportion and with the income. So this is the expenditure on good 2. And so Q2 would be the expenditure divided by P2, right? So you would have a P2 inverse. Trust me and trust in yourself that you absolutely have the ability to do this. You absolutely have the ability to do this. If you feel a little bit uncomfortable, try very hard. You don't have to try very hard because I believe in your ability actually. You're an NCU student. And the reason why you may be an NCU student is because you got that ability, okay? So you need to make yourself stronger and stronger. Actually, absolutely you may do this because it's not difficult, all right? Trust in yourself, please. So, what about the substitution effect? Because the sum of substitution effect and income effect would be 0 price effect, right? So this part is easy. It would be alpha plus beta square and alpha beta, and there is a y and P1 inverse, P2 inverse. So here the substitution effect is negative. However, you see the substitution effect here is positive. And you will say, oh, Roger, I remember you said pure substitution effect 0, so it's always negative, right? But that is about the price of the same good. Now the price is of the other good. So the pure substitution effect is negative, is for Q2. Is for Q2. So an increase in P2, Q2 must be decreased. However, Q1 must be increased. So it's positive, right? The substitution effect is positive here. So any question or any problem here? I expect you to derive this and this within 10 seconds. I expect you to have the ability to derive these two equations within 10 seconds. And the premise that you may do this is what? Is you are familiar with the Lagrange thing, how to derive the Coulomb-Gauss utility function. So you must be familiar with this enough to derive this and this. Okay? If not yet, please practice. Maybe one time or twice. Once or twice you will be familiar with this. But you got to practice. Practice makes perfect. So, is everyone happy with this? And let me do something for you. I want to do one thing. What kind of thing? Draw a picture. Let me draw a diagram. Analyzing this. Now it is the change in P2. Alright. So, when P2 increases, for a Cobb-Douglas utility function, when P2 increases, the price effect from P2, from the increase in P2, would be 0 on Q1. So it is 0 on Q1. The consumption of Q1 doesn't change at all, right? So from here to here is the what? Price effect, the total effect. Then what would be the substitution effect? The substitution effect would be here. Yeah, not bad. Substitution effect. So you see when P2 goes up, Q1 the same U, right? This will be U bar. At U bar, it will be positive. It will be positive. Positive. Okay? So this would be the substitution effect from here to here because of the price change. Because of the price change on the same indifference curve. So it's negative for Q2, however, it's positive for Q1, right? So this is the substitution effect. And from here, notice here, not here, please pay attention to me. From here to here. So you see this. What does it mean? It's the income effect, right? So the income effect is negative. And you see the income effect with a negative sign here. Got it? So the price effect is 0. The substitution effect from here to here on Q1 is positive. However, the income effect is negative. And because Q1 and Q2 are normal good. Okay? And the rise of P2 means your real income will be cut. Okay? So, substitution effect, income effect. Once again, substitution effect, income effect. Any question here?